Now, what I'm actually going to be doing tonight, as far as going through the whole page planning strategy that I use, is uh, starting with the Google Keyword Planner. I actually revisit this and kind of browse through the different keywords and try to make a collective list. And this list that I'm trying to put together, it's not at least immediately going to be my definite list of pages that I'm going to be building on this site, but I'm trying to get a collection of keyword phrases together so that I can use this to eventually get to that point. And that is basically the point that I'm trying to get to throughout the course of this particular class, is to basically go from those keyword phrases to having basically 20 pages picked out for my website to know what the topics are going to be on each of these 20 pages, to have a basic idea of the type of information that I'm going to be talking about on all those pages, and to even have an idea of the advertising that I'm going to be putting on my site. Now, the advertising, it's not necessarily going to be picking out specific products at this particular stage in the process. As long as I have a general idea of what I want to be promoting, and as long as I know that products exist like that on Amazon, then I actually come back to advertising later on, but I still kind of want to know which pages on my site are going to contain those advertisements, because I don't like to build advertisements on every single page throughout my website. I believe this is kind of overdoing it when it comes to your affiliate promotions, and search engines like Google are definitely beginning to pick up on things like using too many affiliate advertisements. So even in terms of that, I feel like it helps to improve your search rankings by actually limiting the number of advertisements that you put on your site. And the whole point of that is obviously to drive the traffic from the different pages of your site to the pages of your site that have those advertisements on them. And so the whole idea behind doing that is to build pages that are actually centered around ideas relating to those particular products. So what I will actually do is build a couple of different types of pages on my site. And I'm actually going to be going through and discussing each of these page types with you here to start with. Now, I'm on the Google Keyword Planner here. We were doing this in the previous class. I'm going to basically repeat what I was doing before and just search for my relational product, or possibly my primary keyword phrase here. Either one should get you some relevant keyword phrases that you can try to go after. And what I will start to do is just look at this ad group ideas list. As you scroll down this particular list, and there's actually a second page here with a couple more ad groups listed. Pretty much any one of these items listed right here can be a possible page that I could build on my site. What I will really do is pull out a notepad file and just kind of browse through this list and pick out some of the general phrases here that seem like they would be a good fit. And in some particular cases, you do want to drill down a little bit further and actually look at some of the keyword phrases that are contained within each of these ad groups, because sometimes the keyword phrase that you really might want to go for may actually be contained within an ad group. The size group right here for this particular search that I'm doing is a good example. I could have a part of my site about down comforter sizes, and that could all be done within the content of a single page on my site, but it could also be done using numerous pages on my site. I could have a page about the king size comforters, and another page about queen size, and another page about twin size and full size, and there's even a few more less common sizes that kind of go along with that, even though they're not listed here, like California King, and you even have smaller mattress sizes like infant crib mattresses and things of that nature. So what I will basically do is, pull out just a notepad file on my computer and jot down each of these particular keyword phrases or ad group ideas that would make a good potential candidate to use for a particular topic on my website. And this would be, an entire page of my website. So, I'll just go through and copy king and queen and twin and full, and also copy, what's that, Will? It is the site planning idea. I wasn't quite sure what you may be asking there. Okay, not a problem. So I have gone through and done this particular search on my own niche that I'm going to be going after on the site that I will be guiding you guys through building in this particular class. And obviously that is down comforter guide. So as you can see here, obviously this takes a little bit more time. I don't want to just be pouring through keyword lists for you guys throughout the whole class. So I've gone ahead and collected all of these keyword phrases that I could find that are relevant. And as you can see, I've made a list of them, and I've kind of grouped them wherever it is relevant to do so. With all the sizes, for example, you can see that they're listed up at the top here. There's actually 2 queens that were listed there. Now, what I do once I have reached this point, I have my listing of my keyword phrases. Obviously, I could just go through and build a site as it is based on these different topics here. However, I really want this site to not just try to target keyword phrases, but it needs to be a useful website, and it also needs to not be overdone when it comes to the keyword phrases that I'm targeting. So what I will actually try to do is branch out from my initial topic just a little bit and try to find some other potential topics that I could use for pages of my site. And some of these may be keyword based and others may not be. It really doesn't matter which it may be. Obviously, you kind of want to have a lot of your pages, even if you're not heavily trying to go after a particular keyword phrase, there's still nothing wrong with using particular words on that page that may still be able to attract search engine traffic for you. And one example of this that I commonly will build, and obviously it gives you a good place to put your advertisements, is product pages. And this could also be brand pages. You don't want to build your entire website centered around the product and the brand pages, but as long as they're a smaller portion of your site and you're not trying to target these product or brand names in your actual domain name or subdomain name, then you can definitely build some pages on your site that will try to target some of these keyword phrases for you. And I also feel like this can help to get away from the standard listing of phrases. For example, when you're just searching your primary keyword phrase, if you're only building a website based on the keyword phrases that are listed for you right here, obviously that would be something that Google could pick up pretty easily because they're the one providing you with this particular list. So you don't want them to think that you're building this site or that you might be a script essentially building this site for you. You want them to think that this is a real person building this site and it's not automated. And honestly, this is what a lot of the automated software will try to do. It will just try to build a site simply based on these particular phrases. So you need to make sure you go at least a little bit above and beyond that. Now, going back to your Amazon research that you did, you probably have at least a couple of brand names picked out, and there may also be some brand names that you see within the keyword suggestions here from Google, like Pacific Coast here. This is a particular brand for down comforters. Penzon is another one of those brands, so I could go through and search for some Penzon related keyword phrases. As you can see, I have like Penzon sheets and bedding and towels. I could also go through my actual keyword ideas here and try to get additional page ideas that I could use. And again, just add all of this to your notepad file. Just kind of build a running list as you go through. And whether you end up building a page to target every single one of these ideas that you're adding to this notepad list really doesn't matter or not, because this information can still be really useful to have later on. You can still drop particular keyword phrases within the content of relational pages on your site, even if you don't decide to build an entire page centered around that particular keyword. So I always like to have kind of more than I'm really going to need in the end when it comes to building my site. Now, another way that you can come up with brand and product names and other possible keyword phrases that you could try to target is obviously to go to Amazon itself and to go back to some of those product pages and take a little bit closer look at them. Now I'm going to pull up one of these Penzon comforters that I was looking at previously. Now, on this particular comforter, you have right here all of these different options that are available. You have the different size options, and I already know based on the keyword traffic that I was able to find in the keyword planner that people actually search for different sizes of these comforters. So this additional option that's shown to me down here for the style, it's reasonable to expect that people might also search for keyword phrases relating to these options because they're looking for more information. Obviously, if you can scroll down through this particular listing and not find good information about these different options and what the differences are between them, then that makes an even better situation where you could try to target that information, because you might actually have people on Amazon looking at this particular product and they're interested in buying it, but maybe they don't know what the different options are here. And so then perhaps they open up a different window in Google and go to try to find that information. Well, if you can be that website that picks up that traffic, gives them that information, and then can actually link them back to the same product on Amazon, it can be a really, really easy sale to pick up. So this is another easy way that you can try to find some keyword phrases, is by simply looking through the product listing again and try to find some of the terminology that is used here, especially if it's terminology that's commonly used from one product to the next, so it seems to be pretty industry standard. Those are definitely some of the best type of situations. Now, you can see further down here, they actually give a little bit of information concerning these different warmth levels that were being talked about, that I was talking about in the options that were up above. And they provide a little bit of information here in this text, but overall, there's not a ton of information available here about what those different warmth levels are really all about. And in addition to that, in this particular comparison chart, I have some even more potential keyword phrases here: fill power and construction and comforter shell and pattern, size dimensions. I already kind of know that people search by sizes. They may also be searching for dimensions of the mattresses or the comforters or the different accessories that go along with a particular size bed. So that would be yet again another possible way to pick up some keyword phrases that I could target. In these keyword phrases, they may or may not actually have traffic to go along with them, but it's okay if they don't, because this is relational information and it's going to help to build up the relevancy of your entire website. So sometimes you have to think on a slightly larger scale than just each particular page you're building, and think about how it affects the website in general instead of just on a page-by-page basis. So the next type of page that I will commonly build, and this seems to kind of be one of my more favorite types of pages to build, are the question and informational pages. Let's see, Ruben has a question here. Let's see, Ruben is asking, with Google's new Hummingbird update, is it now a good idea to make our keywords more like questions? I'm thinking more long tail is working better now. I would definitely agree that more long tail keyword phrases definitely seem to be working better these days. Google, if you browse through the top 10 rankings on pretty much any given keyword phrase, just look at what they're using in the title of their page, for example. Look and see if it's only the keyword phrase or if it's a longer, more attractive title, essentially, that contains those keyword phrase words within it. Personally, I do kind of like to go for the more long tail, more descriptive phrases, Ruben. In a lot of ways, those are kind of the phrases that I try to target on my sites anyways, especially being the primary keyword phrase of my website. A lot of times I'll pick a highly specific long tail keyword phrase and make it the primary keyword phrase of my website, because the competition ends up being extremely low in those situations. In terms of Google's actual update, the Hummingbird update, I'm honestly not familiar with that, but then again, I really do not follow all the different Google updates. I kind of just build my sites using a particular level of quality and kind of thought for what it is that both visitors and also search engines are looking for. And I've really never had to worry too much about the different Google updates that come along, because they honestly don't affect my websites, because I'm really not trying to trick them, more or less, into the rankings that I receive. That was a excellent question, though. Yes, I definitely would say to go with the longer titles with the keywords included, because they do seem to be performing better. There was once upon a time where you could just, if I was building um, a page to target a particular keyword phrase, where you could just title that page what the keyword phrase was that you wanted to target, and it worked just fine. It worked great, actually. But yes, they do definitely seem to be going more for the more descriptive titles, which really makes sense if you think about it. It provides the user more information, and a lot of times you can get better click-through rates on your more descriptive titles for your pages, making it another really good reason to do that as well. As far as phrasing the titles like questions, though, I wouldn't necessarily say that you have to do that. I think a lot of times questions end up having stop words in them. Like, you start a question with, a lot of times on the internet, how or how to. And so you're putting in these additional words into your title without kind of thinking about it in those situations. And those words aren't keywords. They're not designed to try to pick up keyword traffic, even though there are some how-to keyword phrases out there that receive traffic. Google still basically just looks at the search that's coming in, or at your title, and when they're trying to pick out the keyword phrases, they'll strip out all those insignificant words and just end up with your basic keywords in the end. But what they may be trying to do now is essentially counting your good keywords versus your stop words, and looking for some type of percentage there that makes it more realistic. And so in that regard, phrasing a keyword phrase like a question, it could help to make that percentage a little more where it's supposed to be, or what Google is looking for. But I believe you could just as easily accomplish that same thing by just making your title a little more descriptive, and just using some other words in there that aren't designed at targeting keyword traffic at all, that just simply go to make it sound better, to help make it make more sense. Now, you're quite welcome, Ruben. That's a good question. Thank you as well. The question and informational pages that I like to build, these will often include some type of keyword phrase within them, but I try not to necessarily base these pages off of keyword phrases and, making them dependent upon keyword traffic actually being there for these keyword phrases. I try to base it more on the concerns of the consumer. Going back to when I had talked to you guys about the questions and the answers here, and the customer reviews, reading through the content and the questions that's actually available here, and trying to imagine how you could create different pages on your site that would target these different topics or points of concern. This is where I will go to, try to get some really solid ideas that I could use on my actual site. And I'll actually base entire pages of content off of potentially just one of these questions that I could find here, or possibly one particular point that somebody has mentioned in a review, simply because I feel like it applies to this particular product, and if it's something that sounds like it would also apply to other products of this same type and not just this one specific product, then it makes a a great page of content on my site, because it's going to be obviously relevant and useful to the people that are actually browsing my site, because it's going to help them to solve these problems, and it gives me a great way to then forward the person along to Amazon to complete a purchase. Now, obviously you have the different questions. Make sure you look into all of them that are available. Don't just go off of the first three, and some of them even have multiple answers that are available. And all of your reviews, take a look at a wide variety of them. Don't just focus on the great ones. Take a look at some of the really bad ones too, because you want to see what people are complaining about the product. And at least you may be able to address that particular concern on your own page on your site about that product, and possibly even suggest a different product to somebody that is really hung up on that one particular concern. So at least you're not losing a sale, you're simply recommending a different purchase for them. Now, just off of one of these particular reviews, you can honestly find a number of different selling points, so to speak, that these customers are actually talking about dealing with these products. Just within this first review, for example, they're talking about the warmth and the softness of it and the evenness of the filling. They all seem to be very important and valid points of concern for this particular customer. Pretty much any of these other reviews here, just this second one here, for example, they're actually talking about even more different concerns than just three that were found in the previous one that I had mentioned. They're talking about the warmth again, the thickness and the fluffiness of it, the weight, the filling shifting and the different stitching that they use and how it affects that. They also talk about whether it can be washed in your washing machine at home, and the prices compared with retail department stores, for example, all just within this one little paragraph of text right here. So obviously I don't want to use this information on my own website exactly as it is here, but I can take this information and build upon it. I can research some of these particular topics that these customers are talking about here and build them into complete pages of my site. Now, obviously, you have the great reviews. Also mention to make sure that you take a look at the bad reviews, because they say completely different things from the people that leave a great review on them. And you also have comments that can be left on these reviews, because you might have other people that agree or potentially disagree with the things that the customer has said in their reviews. So you can kind of validate the information that they're talking about here by also reading some of the comments and simply seeing what they have to say about it. So after I have gone through all of these different ad group ideas and the keyword planner and the keyword phrases and different product pages and different questions and points of concern for the consumers, I end up with my complete keyword phrase list and my potential list of topics here. I have different brands that I can try to target. I have different points of concern for the customers. So it's really a nice mix and match of the potential topics that I can try to target on this website. And again, this particular list that you build after you've done this initial research, this isn't a final list. You aren't committing to building all these different pages. You're just putting together all the different research that you need so you can then proceed to the next step in the process. And what I actually do next is to take all of this information and to rearrange it. And what I'm looking to do is to organize it. But I'm looking to organize it not necessarily the way that you see it here, with everything grouped out by a topic with the different relational keyword phrases underneath it. What I'm pretty much looking to do is to figure out which of these keyword phrases would make a good topic for a complete page on my site. Ask yourself how much information you could actually give somebody without having to repeat yourself or essentially just try to put filler content in there. You don't want to be doing that. You want to be providing all good, useful information. So if you see a particular topic and you feel like it's a little bit questionable whether you could actually provide enough information for it, then you might want to simply combine that in with another topic. So for example, on all these different sizes for the comforters here, I could build an individual page, but if I didn't really feel like I had enough content for each of those pages, I could just build one page on my site about the different sizes that are available. And I could simply talk about each of those 4 different sizes on that particular page of my site. So again, I kind of just go through my entire list here, and I'm looking to do the same sort of thing and come up with, give or take, around 20 pages that I can potentially build on my website. And again, I want them organized in kind of a hierarchy type of structure, similar to like what you see here, where you have still relational pages grouped underneath more of a main topic on your site. And what these main topics will end up being are essentially category pages on your site. And then you will build each of the page topic ideas as an individual page on your site, and the category will link up to each of your individual page topics. So depending on how many pages you build and the type of information that's going to be on those pages, you may end up sorting and organizing your information in a completely different way from the way that I've done it. That's quite all right. There's really no right or wrong way to do it here. So just to show you kind of what I have done is I have summarized that entire list into this small list right here up at the top. And as you can see, I've taken like the sizes and combined them down into just one single page that will be about sizes. And I've grouped that page under a category page called Buying Guide. And the Buying Guide page is going to have a number of other different pages that will be grouped underneath it. All topics that are essentially the topics that people would want to know more about to be able to purchase the product or to have the right information that they need to be able to purchase the right product that they want for their particular needs. I've gone on and done the same thing with a couple of other different sections here. I have a section of consumer concerns, and each of these particular pages are points of concern that I saw people talking about throughout customer reviews and the different questions and answers on a variety of different down comforter products. So I'll be addressing 5 different topics, and honestly within each of these pages I'll kind of be addressing a number of different subtopics as well there. And then I have another section of my site that will be about brands. And So I have a main brands page, but then I also have different individual pages for specific brands of down comforters like Penzon and IKEA and Pacific Coast. And then I have some other pages here that are actually particular types of Penzon comforters. And since Penzon is kind of going to be the primary product that I'm trying to go after on this particular site, then I'm actually going to build two different pages, one to target each of the main kinds of the down comforters that they have. One of these is for the real down comforter, and the other one is for the alternative, the Primaloft here. So these pages are actually going to be the pages that will end up having advertising on them, whereas the rest of these pages are not going to have really any advertising on them. But what they're going to do is help to draw in my search engine traffic for me and link up to these brand pages. And not only that, but it's going to do it in a way that helps to make sense and direct people along to the proper products to purchase based on the topics that they are viewing. So, for example, if you have somebody that is come in on the hypoallergenic down page and they're concerned about allergies and using down comforters, then they would be directed along from this page to my Primaloft page, which is the down alternative comforter, which is also hypoallergenic. So it would help to satisfy the needs of somebody that was viewing that particular page. So this helps to kind of qualify my leads on my own website to bring them in, but not only to bring them in, but to help direct them to the right part of my page to get them to proceed to Amazon and buy what it is that I'm promoting. But I'm not just doing it blindly, I'm trying to do it in a helpful way so that when these people actually go and buy these products and they receive them, it's going to be what they were looking for. They're not going to be dissatisfied with it. They'll be happy with their purchase. And as a result, they end up not refunding their purchase because anything you buy off of Amazon, you can just simply put it back in a box and essentially ship it back to them and get your money back. And this happens if you blindly target products. You can actually have a decent number of refunds that come through. And there's really nothing worse than that. Now, at this point, I haven't necessarily decided beyond a shadow of a doubt that these are going to be the pages that I'm going to build on my site. However, this is my initial workup, basically, of what I think I could build for this website. To actually know whether I could build these different pages on the site, I need to research these different topics. And this is assuming that I don't know anything about these particular products or this particular industry whatsoever. So I need to have good information about it, information that I can present to the visitors of my site so I can actually help them with the problems that they're having and help to educate them in the different ways that I'm trying to help them learn about these products. And not only that, but I need to know about the products themselves that I will actually be promoting on this website. And so what I'll do is kind of proceed through my list of topics here and to learn about each of the topics in pretty much any way that I can. And I actually have a number of different potential sources of information that I like to use for researching my Amazon sites. And instead of walking you through the research of one of these particular topics, which would be kind of limited because I'd really only end up using one or two possible sources, I thought it would be better to actually talk to you about the different sources that I like to use. That way you can kind of learn what my overall strategy is when it comes to this type of product and niche research, because some of you, for your first site that you're looking to build, you may already know a ton about that topic or a ton about those products that you're looking to promote. And this is quite all right. But there's really nothing wrong with going and learning a little bit more. You might surprise yourself and find out some things that you didn't know previously. But in addition to that, whether you need this particular research in your own site building for the site you're going to be working on right now or not, you will eventually need it, because you'll end up building more and more sites, and you'll reach a point where you've built sites to target all the niches that you already know things about. And if you want to keep expanding, then you have to learn about new things. And so I want to show you how you can actually pull this off without knowing anything about the products or the niche ahead of time. I really knew nothing about down comforters before I started building this particular website. But now I know enough to build the entire website, and honestly to probably even go beyond what I actually will be doing on the site. So to start with, Amazon is obviously one great place, an easy place that you can find the relevant information, especially about the products that you are looking to promote. A lot of times on these Amazon product listings, there will be so much information about the products, and it may be presented in a particular way that just doesn't make sense to the average person that is looking at it on Amazon, especially if they're not already familiar with that particular industry or that kind of product. So I'll try to help people along and simplify things for them when it's helpful to do so. And so, going and simply getting information off of these product pages is obviously a really great place, and probably one of the more obvious places that you could find this information. And again, make sure you use everything here. Use your customer reviews and your questions and answers, because a lot of times customers know more about a product than a manufacturer will tell you about it. Now, the next obvious place that you could get information is simply on Google itself. Go to Google and just search for the keyword phrase that you're planning on targeting on a particular page of your site, and browse through each of the top rankings that are available there. Read through the pages and see what they're offering. See what type of information they're providing, how they're providing it, how much information they're providing. And not only will it help you to get a good gauge of what you might need to do to be able to beat them in the search rankings, but it can also help you to simply learn about the products. There's nothing wrong with going through the top 10 Google results and learning about the product based off of those top 10 results and building your page simply containing the information that's already there. The real way that you can kind of help to set yourself apart is in how that information is presented and whether it is all located in one place or not. I like to ask myself a few different questions as I'm going through these different pages. One of them is, do they contain different information on each page, or is it essentially the same information? And I'm talking about the top 10 results, for example, that you're browsing through. Does each page in those results, do they all give the same information, or does it seem to be different information on each page? If it's the same information, you can try to go out there elsewhere and find more information than what is already out there to set yourself apart from everybody else. If there's already a ton of information and it's just spread out across those 10 different sites, for example, you could collect all of that information and have it all in one place instead of it being all spread out. So people would only have to look at one page instead of 10. And that would also give you more information than any of those other pages there were actually presenting. The next thing is, when you're reading through the content of these pages, ask yourself, do they talk about particular things without explaining a lot about them? And a great example of this is pretty much with any type of product, where they will describe things like 400 thread count. What if you don't know what that means? What if you've never purchased bedding products or sheets or comforters or anything, or at least to the point where you pay attention to things like that? You might not know what this information is. Well, a lot of websites commonly will make this mistake too. If they're talking about things that kind of could use some extra explanation, that's another way that you could expand on the information that is already available out there to set yourself apart and to make your site more useful and to, make your site unique from everybody else. Now, the next thing that I like to pay attention to is the user-friendliness of these sites that I'm browsing through in the Google results. Are they easy to navigate? Can I find the information that I am looking for on those sites? Or do I have to hunt around for it? Can I find products that I would want to purchase after looking at that information? Ask yourself, all of this stuff and essentially try to think about what you could do better. And, when I say better, I'm not talking about making a website that is flashier or has, better graphics. It's really all about the content that you're providing and possibly the way that it is presented on a site. Just try to put yourself in the customer's shoes and see if you can learn the information off of that website, or if you find it to kind of be a confusing or overwhelming experience in a way, because that may give you some indication as to how other people might feel about it, and may also give you some insight into how you could present that information on your site better. And again, don't just copy and paste this information. You're looking to read the information and to learn it, and then you could actually write an article about that topic, and all that would be unique content out of your own head instead of just rehashed off of another website. It's still the same information a lot of times, but it's how you go about getting that information, where that information comes from, and how you use and present that information on your site. Now, the next thing that I will often find myself doing when it comes to research, especially if I want to know something more than what is commonly available online, what I can actually do is to kind of do a little bit of a sneaky way of research, but there's still really nothing wrong with it. And that is to take advantage of customer service and sales reps at various companies. This could be brick and mortar companies, at actual retail stores, or it could be even online companies. A lot of online companies, a lot of website, e-commerce websites will have live chat agents or phone numbers, or you could even just use email still. and just ask questions about very specific things, or try to get them to explain something to you. And you can actually use that information, again, not verbatim, but use that information on your own site. When it comes to a retail store, for example, you can sometimes call them up on the phone and get that information, but really the best way to go about doing it is to actually go down to a store in person and, pretend to be a real customer, browse around, look at different products, find out as much information as you can about them there, and, go already knowing some information about those products and about the niche that you're trying to go after, so you can actually ask relevant questions to obtain information that you did not already have, or information that you could not easily find online, for example. Now, if you're asking questions in a retail store, you might find yourself wondering how you could actually retain all of that information. One trick that I've actually used that really works quite well, all you would have to do is just bring a notepad with you and just say that you're looking at the products, you're doing some research, you're trying to find out more information, and just say that your significant other, wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the case may be, wanted you to come and check them out and get some more information, and then ask questions and write down their responses, and they'll really never even think twice about it. And then, when it comes time to actually buy, you don't have to feel pressured into purchasing something in, because your significant other isn't with you to be making that actual decision. So, you would obviously need to leave and discuss it with them and, come back in the future. Now, sure, it's a little sneaky, as I was mentioning before, but you can really get some information this way that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to obtain. The people that work in the retail stores with the products that you might be interested in promoting, they've probably been around them for a long time. They've interacted with a lot of customers. They've probably seen a lot of returns coming in. They've seen a lot of different kinds of products. And obviously they have to know something about them for their job anyways. So you can typically get some information off of them that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to get a hold of. And, when it comes to building your site and doing this type of research, some situations you may be able to simply get away with using information that you can find on Amazon or on Google or on both of them. And other situations you'll find that the information out there is simply lacking, or maybe there's a lot of competition and you need some extra information that everybody else doesn't have to give yourself kind of an edge over that competition. Then that retail store, whether it's in person or online or whatever the case may be, that additional research can actually help you to get that information without really having to kill yourself for it. Other people just simply volunteer that information to you because you simply ask for it. So once you get all of your information about your different topics and your products and the niche that you're trying to target here, what you need to do then is figure out a plan to try to present that information to the people that visit your site in the most useful way that's also still easy to use. You don't want to completely overwhelm them, but oftentimes more information on a web page will be received better than less information, at least when it comes to search engine rankings. Google loves to see long, in-depth content pages as opposed to just simply a shorter article. So the more information you can give on any particular topic, the better off you will find yourself. Don't really set yourself a minimum or a certain number of words for each page, so to speak. Just present the information that needs to be presented for that particular topic, and don't necessarily worry about how much information that may be. So what I will try to do at this point is to go back to my site topics list right here that I have been working on, and each of these different ideas here, I want to do my research on these ideas to get the information about these topics or products or whatever the case may be, and I will kind of go through this list and write a brief summary for each one of these particular items. And what this summary is going to do is kind of help me to figure out whether it's definitely a good page topic that I could target on this site, whether I have enough information to write about the subject, because while having too much information isn't a bad thing, having too little information can be a bad thing. If it's too little information, just combine it with another topic that is relational. Anything that fits in good, that you could group onto the same page. Once you have all the different summaries completed for each of your possible topics and figured out whether each topic is a viable topic to go after on your site or for your niche or not, then try to figure out how you could present that information on your website. Try to visualize it all laid out on your site or on each of the individual pages of your site. Obviously, you could write an article about any given topic, basically. However, you want to try to get a little more creative with that when it comes to your Amazon sites or really any kind of site that you're building, because anything to break up the monotony of just straight text will really help you a lot in terms of making your site more receptive to visitors, and also when it comes to the search engine rankings as well, because all of that other relational content is still viewed by Google, for example, and they don't necessarily want to just see a page loaded with nothing but text. They're looking for a little bit more these days, and it helps to indicate to them that the page is a more useful and helpful page also. So try to come up with different headings that you could use throughout an article, different pictures that you could add into it that would go along with what you're talking about. You could use different comparison tables or charts, different kinds of graphs, depending on what it is that you're talking about. Use lists of information, like a list like this. Instead of writing a paragraph to talk about or to list these different items, just list them out. Instead, it helps to break up the monotony of nothing but paragraphs of text. And you could even use things like videos connecting with social networks, or even a combination of all of them. It's really all about what each of your topics is and the information that you have on it, and that will kind of control what it is that you can really present on your site and how you will go about presenting it. But you should still be able to do something with each of the pages on your site in terms of breaking up the monotony of just your standard article text. So I've gone through and done this same thing here that I've been talking to you guys about with my own list as well. I have all the different pages of content, and I've kind of gone through and written a summary for each of these pages. For example, my home page, I say this will be the front page of the website and will be the quote-unquote down comforter guide. Since brands is really the only category I've picked out here, and I have a lot of other sub-pages on the site, I was originally, when I first planned this out here, I didn't have a category picked out for consumer concerns or for buying guide. All I really had was my brands category, and then I had all of these different page topics. So I was thinking that I should be organizing all of these sub-pages into a couple of different categories, and then I will simply feature and link to the different categories and sub-pages from this homepage using a description and a picture for each group. And I've kind of gone through and essentially done this same type of thing with the rest of my pages for my site. For the size page, for example, I will be giving general information on picking the right size comforter and or bed size, since there are 5 main sizes with information and specific recommendations for each of those potential sizes. So I feel like a comparison chart may possibly be a good fit for this particular page to present this information. So, this is just kind of a brainstorm, if you will, of what I feel like I may be able to accomplish on each of these pages of my site. And this, while it will take you a little bit of time to go through your different topics and to provide this summary and do this brainstorming, once you're done, you really have a clear picture of what your site's going to be about and the work that you're going to need to do to actually complete it. And I really feel like having that planned out ahead of time, it gives you a set amount of work that you need to do, and it keeps you from essentially continuing on forever. There's a point where once you've completed all these pages on your site where you'll know that you're finished, and you won't feel like you have to keep going and going and going. You can kind of sit back for a little while and see how your site does in the search rankings, see how it's doing on Amazon in terms of making you money, and potentially go back and make some adjustments to it if needed, and if not, continue on with building your next site. Just to point out a couple of other things here, like with some of these brands pages, my brands page here, this will be the category page. I'm going to talk about down comforter brands briefly and summarize the different brands that I'm going to be covering on this site. And then I will be linking out to the different brand pages. And then each of these different brand pages will be targeting mostly specific products that are going to be promoted on my site. For Penzon, for example, I wrote that this is Amazon's brand. I'm really just focusing on their down comforters for their page, but I'm still going to build an actual brand page on my website about them because it's going to be relational to what I'm trying to go for here on this site. And obviously Penzon is kind of one of the main products that I'm trying to go after on this website. So this brand page is going to have some subpages to it as well. So technically the pins on page is kind of a category page as well, and it's going to have some subpages that are linked up to it. And for each of these subpages, these are targeting a specific type of pins on comforter. So I have this brand page is for their down alternative comforter. It's actually something that the U.S. Army originally contracted to be developed, the filler that is inside of these comforters by the brand name of Primaloft. And so I will be building a page about this to talk about it, and then to also promote an actual advertisement of a pins on Primaloft down comforter on it. Now, I have a lot of information here in this file, all these different summaries for each of these pages. I'm not going to sit here and read this entire list for you guys, but I have provided this entire listing of my planned page topics and the summary and brainstorming that I have done for each of these page topics. That's all available in the guidebook for tonight's class. So if you would like to actually go through and see what I have planned specifically for each of the different pages of my site, then you can go back and actually do so. Once you have completed this same thing with your own site, you really kind of have a guide that you can use throughout your site construction at that point. And not only that, but you're thinking this all out ahead of time, and you kind of get an idea of what's going to work and what isn't, where you might need more information, possibly where you have too much information, or where maybe you'll need additional pages on your site for advertising. Maybe you didn't make enough of them. Maybe you made too many of them. You can really get a general sense of what's going to be going on at this stage of the process. So the next thing that I actually do once I have reached this point is to proceed with planning for my product advertising. But before I actually get into that, I thought I would at least take a couple of minutes here, since that'll kind of be changing focus slightly, and give you guys a chance to ask any more questions that you may have about any of the site planning, keyword research, page topic selection that I have been discussing with you guys this evening. Any questions before I proceed on to talk to you guys about product advertising? And if not, then I will simply continue. Ruben is asking, what theme do I usually use with my WordPress sites? I actually use a theme called Weaver 2. You can find it completely for free in the WordPress repository by just searching for the word Weaver, W-E-A-V-E-R. It offers a lot of different possible designs, and in addition to that, a lot of different customization options. So I feel like I can kind of adjust it to the look of whatever I may be trying to go for on any particular website. They do have a pro version, which is a commercial version of that particular theme, but I've honestly never purchased it. I've just used the free version of it since even since it was called just Weaver a number of years ago. So it's something that I end up using on these days basically all of my WordPress sites. I will be discussing that particular theme a little more in depth during, let's see, I think it's the class after next where we actually go through and talk about WordPress and learn about it. So over the course of the next couple of, yes, it is definitely friendly with the plugins that I use, all the other free plugins that I may suggest, and then also the commercial plugins that I produce myself and provided for all of you guys in this particular class. You're quite welcome, Ruben. Any other questions before I proceed on to talk about product advertising here, guys? Give you just one more minute or so in case you would like to ask something extra. If you should happen to end up with too many pages once you have planned all of this out, the easiest way is really just to combine your pages. Instead of trying to build a whole bunch of smaller pages on your site, I would definitely recommend a smaller number of larger pages than I would a larger number of smaller pages. Because again, your longer pages, your more in-depth content will receive much better reception on Google and even other search engines, but especially Google above the rest of them. They love that in-depth content these days. It doesn't look like there are any extra questions for right now, at least. If you think up something as we proceed, please feel free to ask at any time, and even in future classes, if you happen to have any questions, I don't mind addressing them for you on down the road or even in between classes for you as well. So when it comes to the actual product advertising that I want to create on my sites, I'm not actually, at least at this point in the planning phase, I'm not looking to really have a specific listing of products that I'm advertising for this particular step. What I'm really doing here is to make sure that wherever I want to have advertisements, wherever I want to promote something on my site, I simply want to verify on Amazon that there is actually something that I can promote there that I would want to promote, you know, a good product choice. For some of the initial products that you had researched, like how I have researched the pins-on comforters already for this site, this is kind of obvious. I know already that there are pins-on products. I know that there are other relational accessory products for this particular brand. I know about the brand. I know it's a reliable quality brand. I know it's exclusive to Amazon, and you know, which kind of helps to reduce the competition elsewhere. But in addition to that, I have other pages of my site where I will want to end up having advertising. I have a page that will be about IKEA, and I also have a page that will be about Pacific Coast. So at least in these two particular examples, I would want to go onto Amazon and simply search for one of these. So I could go and search for a Pacific Coast down comforter. and see what's available. Make sure it's actually available for sale. Take a look at the review ratings, and I may even want to go and potentially compare product prices with somewhere else. So maybe somewhere online, if I could find these products in a retail store, compare them with a retail store price as well. I could use this as simply more content information on my site, or I could simply use it to help me select a good deal that's available here on Amazon. At least with this particular brand, there seem to be a number of different possibilities, at least more than were available with the Penzon brand. So I might need to try to select potentially one, maybe two of these comforters that I would want to actually promote on my site. So, obviously I would try to promote the best possible choice. Maybe not the most expensive product, but what I feel like would be the most commonly purchased product. Somewhere in the middle usually is what I'm shooting for. Not the cheapest, but not the most expensive. You're kind of getting a bit of a compromise between price and quality at that level, and it seems to kind of be the level that the majority of consumers will often purchase things, especially when it comes to things that they will use longer term, like a down comforter. Obviously, they'll be sleeping with that every night, potentially for the next 10 years or so. That's a good question, Rhonda. Rhonda's asking if manufacturers supply video clips of people using these products, because obviously videos help a lot in search engine rankings. There might be some circumstances where a manufacturer would have some kind of video clip of people using the products, but you would most likely find that they would probably be copyrighted and not something that an affiliate could take and use on their own website. Really the only way to reliably have a video of somebody using a product is kind of going to be to go out and buy it yourself and to shoot that video, which is an option for some people. I have done that strategy before, and it kind of varies in terms of its success, because you obviously have to consider what you're spending on the products. You can't just go out and buy everything and shoot a video of it. I've been tempted to like go to a retail store and see if I could maybe talk to a manager, possibly even get like an employee to work off the clock, to talk about a product or something and then actually be able to have it there in the video. But other than attempting something like that, which would really be on a situation to situation basis, you'd have to find a retail store, a manager at that store that would be willing to work with you, and they'd probably be looking for some kind of compensation off of it, I would imagine. Beyond that, though, really buying the products and shooting the videos yourself are kind of the only reliable way to go about doing that. And again, you just have to think about anything that you promote on Amazon. If you're buying it off of Amazon, then depending on what your commission rate is, if you're at the bottom level and you're getting under 7 sales every month, you'll have like a 4% commission. So you would have to actually sell a product 25 times at a 4% commission just to recoup your cost of that product itself. If your commission rate was a little bit higher, it might change a little bit there. If you're just getting a 6% commission, for example, then you'd only have to get about 17 sales or so to break even to make a little bit of a profit. So it can kind of, as your commissions get higher, things like that may be a little more feasible to do, because videos definitely do help a lot in search rankings, but I think it's important to have a unique video and something that will actually be useful, so it can kind of do more for you than just try to attract, a good search ranking. You want people to actually land on that video and watch it and love it and want to proceed onto your site to, help earn some commissions for you. Whereas I think if it was a junkier or a rehashed video from somewhere else, your chances of that's a good idea, Peter. I had never actually considered that before. Peter said you could resell the product over eBay to recoup some of the costs straight away. That is a really good point, especially if it was a kind of product that you might have to briefly use it for your demonstration video, but beyond that, it would essentially be still a new product. So that's a really good point, Peter. A lot of times when I've actually done things like that for my own sites, it's usually been a product that maybe I already wanted to buy, or something my wife wanted to buy, or she goes out and comes home with a couple $100 down comforter. I might say, hey, before you unbox that, let me grab the video real quick and I'll turn that into a website. So sometimes the website ideas come based off of something that has just been purchased in my household simply for convenience sake. And then, the other way to go about it would be just to buy them. And I really like your idea, Peter, about just turning around and reselling the product immediately on eBay. You could even resell it on Amazon, for that matter. Pretty much any given product that's on here. You have your different buying choices and stuff. You can actually go on here and just simply list your product as a used product on Amazon and have it sold straight through here. In addition to using possibly eBay as an option. Now, thank you, Rhonda. Yeah. She says she just bought a juicer. You can video me juicing and put it on an Amazon site. Yeah, it's a excellent idea. Wait till like Christmas time comes around, and a lot of times you'll end up unwrapping the present and it's something in a box, and most of the time you never actually open the box and take it out there in front of the people that gave you the present. So bring all your boxes back home and shoot an unboxing video of each of them after the holidays, and build some Amazon sites that way. That way you wouldn't even pay for those products if they were all gifts. So what you want to do is go back through your topic list with all of your summaries here and just kind of make notes on each of the different pages that you might be considering putting some Amazon advertisements on. And, give yourself as much information as is relevant to do so here. You could even talk about what your plans might be for those advertisements. For example, let's see if I can find the color page here. Here's the color page. I'm not really sure how helpful this color page would be on my website, but there are a lot of people that search for specific colors of down comforters. So it's obviously a topic that um, people have an interest in, because a lot of times people will use the down comforter for like designing purposes, where they're just putting together a guest bedroom. Uh, Not a problem, Peter. See you next lesson. Good to see you again as always. Thanks for your comments again tonight. Um, with this color page, it would be a possible place that I could build a comparison chart to simply promote a number of different down comforters from different potential colors. But I would need to actually know whether that's available on Amazon or not. Obviously, the Penzon and like the Pacific Coast comforters that I've been looking at, these are obviously white, and the Penzon ones were white as well. So I would basically want to take my list of colors. Let's see. Here's my list of colors. And all of these colors had search engine traffic that were looking for these colors of down comforters. So I could then proceed through Amazon and search for each one of these and verify that there's actually something available. So red down comforters. There's obviously red comforters. Red, there's standard comforters, and then there's also actual down comforters available as well. So this would probably be, more what I'm looking for. So I would want to be a little bit careful and make sure I didn't mistake something as, just a standard comforter and think that it is a down comforter, for example. So, after going through a number of these different color choices and seeing that there are actually products available for each of these different colors, it could make me a little bit more confident about trying to build my page centered around this particular idea, and to have basically just one product for each of the different colors that people were searching for featured in this comparison chart. So to speak, Will. I said the idea is to always keep building out new pages. To a certain point, once you get the good rankings on your site and you're happy with the traffic that you're receiving and what your ranking position is, you can, stop building your site and really stop doing things to it completely and just kind of move along to the next site. But in terms of just your initial planning phase here, you're really just looking to come up with a set number of pages. I usually shoot for about 20, and it kind of helps to just give you an idea after you've built those pages as to whether there could be more new page ideas that you could try to target, or whether your website might need more content on it to actually be able to improve its rankings a little bit better. If you figure out that maybe a 20-page relational site of relational content, maybe it only gets you up to ranking number 5, and maybe you're looking to get at least into the top 3. So simply building more content onto that site. It could be in new pages, but it could also just be more content onto your existing pages. Will help to improve your rankings. But at least initially, give yourself a set amount of work to do. That way it's not just a never-ending site building process. So you reach a point where you say, okay, I'm done, at least until I get more information and see how all of this work is actually being, received with the search engines and the people that actually land on my website from those search engines or social networks, or whatever the case may be. So your initial page planning, you don't want it to really be never ending. With like all these different colors that I'm doing here, let me flip back over here to my topic list. While I have a decent list of colors, I'm not going to be building a different page on each of these colors. I could potentially do that, but ultimately, what could you really say about a red down comforter that you couldn't say about a blue down comforter? There's no difference between them, at least in those general terms, with the exception of the color. You could maybe talk about designs or themes or something that it could be used along with, but ultimately I feel like the content that I could provide on any given color here would be pretty limited and would probably make for a fairly short and likely useless page on my site. Whereas combining them all into just one single page, then I could present that smaller amount of information on each of these different colors and just simply do it all within the content of one page. And this could actually be done like in a comparison chart, for example. So what I would simply do is verify that I could actually use each of these color choices on my site. And obviously, if this is connected to like an Amazon product advertisement, then I want to go to Amazon and verify that a product exists that matches each one of these color keywords. And if it does, then I would know that that is something that I could feature on that color page, and otherwise I'd simply just throw it out in most cases. Now, beyond the actual product pages, where I have my colors page where I might be promoting products, and then I have my real product pages, which are all of my brands pages down here. The remaining pages of my website are not actually going to have Amazon advertisements on them, or really advertisements of any kind. My reason for doing this, again, is to bring in the traffic for these different topics. And then I want to link up these pages and these pages with specific product pages that correspond to each of those topics, to the point where I'm recommending a product that is a good fit for that particular topic. So basically, it kind of helps to create your site in a way where your advertisements are not being pushed upon your visitors. They don't land on your homepage or on one of these informational pages of your site and immediately have an advertisement shoved into their face. They get to choose whether they want to proceed along. And when they're on one of these informational pages and they see a link to a product page on your website, they're kind of already preconditioning themselves to expect that advertisement there. And so it's not offending them. It's not getting in the way of their content. It doesn't seem intrusive at all. It actually seems welcome at that point because it's sort of the next expected step. And they realize that you're not blatantly just saying, come to my site and click on this ad and, I want nothing else to do with you. They're getting the sense that you're actually trying to help them out and provide them with the information and ultimately the product that's going to work for their particular needs. Now, for some of these other product pages that I have planned, for Primaloft and Pyrenees, for example, there's really only one pins-on down comforter that fits these particular topics. So I'll obviously be promoting a single product advertisement on those particular pages. But then I have other pages like the colors page where I might use a comparison chart and promote a number of different products all on that one single page. And then I have other brand pages like IKEA and Pacific Coast where I could go really either way with it. I could decide to promote one single product from those particular brands, or I could try to promote a small selection of products from those brands. I typically will not try to promote everything unless there's just not many of them. You don't want to completely overwhelm people with choices, but you also don't want to limit them too much either. You want to give them a small selection, kind of an either or, maybe a 1 out of 3 type of selection, instead of just saying, hey, you like Pacific Coast down comforters? Well, here's a page and here's 20 of them, and they don't really know what it is that you're recommending. They feel like you're just promoting any product and don't really care. Whereas if you're promoting less products and talking about them and recommending them for specific situations, then people can make that decision for themselves a lot easier than they can when overwhelmed with information. So that's kind of at least something that I commonly see people do on a lot of their sites. Like if you're building a website about TVs, I'll see these sites that are just loaded with a page full of 100 TVs. Well, if you don't know anything about TVs or what you're really looking for, it's overwhelming and it's not helpful, and you just simply leave those pages and go hunting for better, more helpful information elsewhere. One more thing to point out here, I think I missed this previously actually. One of these pages that I have picked out to build on this site is called the About page. This is really just something that I've kind of always done on my Amazon sites, just kind of as a personal preference. So it's something that you don't necessarily have to do on your own sites, but you can if you want to, if you like the idea behind it. It's just a page to tell your website visitors a little bit about your site in general. I kind of put like a mission statement on this page. It doesn't have to be a lot of content or whatever. I usually just put a couple of paragraphs worth of information there at the most in many cases. And a lot of times I'll end up putting some legal disclaimers on that page, like a required statement that Amazon requires you to have on your websites. A lot of times I will just simply have this included on the About page, so it's not in with the rest of my site, and I feel like it kind of fits. I feel like it's relevant for that particular purpose. So this is just kind of in a way a useless page on my site. It's not targeting any keyword phrases, and um, honestly, I kind of like that though. I like having at least something on my site that's blatantly not going after anything whatsoever. Um, because honestly, if you visit any decent, well-respected website out there, those pages are all over the place. Pages that aren't targeting keyword phrases, pages that are just about something particular because it's relevant to that website. So it's more natural, and that's definitely something that Google has been on the lookout for a lot over recent years. When it comes to your websites being useful, I've talked to you guys about this over and over and over again, and honestly, for the rest of the class, I'll still be talking about it because it's important, because it's really the one thing that I feel like if I took away from my strategy, if I just plucked out that one part about it, I feel like it wouldn't work anymore. Um, if I replaced everything I do with nothing but automated content, for example, it's not going to work the same way. It's not going to be as effective. It's not going to get the search rankings for me. It's not going to hold them long term. And one particular area where that becomes really, really important, something that a lot of people don't necessarily realize, is that Google, they don't directly employ them, but they have essentially hired another company which then employs these rankers that will actually go through and search out particular keyword phrases, and they'll go through the top 10 results for that keyword phrase and actually look at the website and see whether it is relevant for that particular keyword phrase. But not only relevant, they're looking for usefulness in terms of whether that site is actually going to be a good fit for somebody that's searching that keyword phrase or not. And even without a Google update coming along and making changes, your website can completely disappear from the rankings seemingly at random because of one of these Google rankers. They'll simply look at your site and say, oh, well, this is a cookie cutter site that's just using nothing but automated content, and it's filled with advertisements, and it's not really helping anybody. So they'll just simply give you a poor rating. And as long as, multiple raters all kind of agree on, your site, then that can be pretty much the end of it for the potential for your rankings. So it's something that's really, really important to do from the get-go. Right, definitely will. So we have to make more real information-based websites more than gimmicky marketing sites, definitely. And when you think about it, these informational-based websites that I really recommend to build, they have a lot of advantages to them. Let's say, think of like a worst case scenario. Let's say you picked a product on Amazon that just doesn't sell. Maybe the only product available that you selected, maybe it's available in a retail store for $20 cheaper, and everybody that goes and buys that product kind of realizes it, and so they never buy them online. And maybe your website never makes a single sale whatsoever. As long as you have a site that is informational and is not dependent upon your Amazon advertisements and is receiving search traffic for those relational keyword phrases, then you have options. You'll always have options. You can choose to switch to a different affiliate network. You could choose to simply wipe out all of the advertisements and just go for Google AdWords, for example, or AdSense. Um, so, you always have options as long as your site is still there and receiving traffic. You can change what you're promoting, but you can't necessarily change how you built the website once that's been done. Ruben, that's a good question too. I will be getting to that more in depth in the actual Amazon advertising class in this particular series. But I have always included the affiliate statement that they require on my About page and not actually on each individual page of my site. Now, I have some sites where I'll have it in the footer or the sidebar or something, but I also have a ton of sites where I've just used it on the About page and have been doing so for many years now, and I've never run into any problems. I've looked at the actual wording of that part of the statement, which I believe I have that statement. We'll actually be providing it for you in that lesson. And talking about it a little more in depth, but the way that they present it, it definitely seems like it's required on your site, but not necessarily on every single page that has your advertisements. And even with the way that I build these sites, I don't have advertisements on my homepage. So in that regard, you don't have to have it there. You can just have a homepage that is simply inviting and welcoming to people instead of, running them off with advertisements. Make them focus on your actual content instead, to, kind of help build that trust with them before they actually get to, the advertising parts of your site. Yes, yes, manual reviewers. Google, I can confirm 100% guaranteed, Google actively uses manual reviewers, a lot of them. They have a whole group full of people. They all work online. I've actually got to personally interview one of these Google reviewers before, which is kind of why I know a little bit about it. And it's not just one person that's going to decide the fate of your site. The same kind of sentiment would have to be echoed among all of the different reviewers that are working on a particular job. They'll give them a keyword phrase, but they'll give that keyword phrase to maybe 5 or 10 different reviewers, and they'll all look and review, say, the top 10 rankings for that particular phrase, and then they're kind of compared for each of those sites. And when they all agree, then it's accepted and moved along. And if they disagree, then they have to essentially chat about it. And you kind of have to get everybody to agree one way or another. And they have a certain amount of time. They're forced to move through this stuff pretty quickly, but they are used to it. They have a very stringent testing system that they have to go through to even get employed by them to start with, and it makes sure that they can accurately review these sites, in a pretty quick manner. So they're definitely experienced and familiar with what they're doing, and pretty good at what they do. And so there's really no way to go about tricking them. Even if you can trick Google into giving you a #1 ranking for essentially doing nothing, it will never stay forever. And for that reason, I don't ever try to trick Google. I just try to give them what they actually want. Right, Ruben. On fan pages, most people do just put the affiliate disclosure on the about section. Um, there's a lot of cases where you may not be able to uh, put the disclosure on the same page as your link, especially if it's like you're saying on like a Facebook fan page, for example, where you may not have complete control over that website, for example. You obviously couldn't add in that disclosure to the footer of your Facebook fan page, for example, because that's Facebook's website. You saw a you saw a YouTube video for pins on and it went straight to Amazon, no website, and made you think how much more we are doing. Yes, we are um, doing quite a bit more, but it really comes across to the people that are looking at what you're doing. Your visitors, the people you want to end up completing those sales for you, they can see and tell if this is something that you just quickly threw together or if it's actually based on real fact and knowledge. Um, and the other part about it is things like YouTube videos. If you're just linking straight to Amazon, what do you do if your video becomes wildly popular? Maybe it gets a #1 Google ranking and it's getting tons of traffic all the time. Maybe it even gets shared virally and gets passed around Facebook and gets loaded with traffic all the time. Well, what do you do when that product that you're promoting on your YouTube video um, is no longer available? Or maybe it gets replaced with a newer model. If you actually had like a link embedded into your video, for example, uh, then you might just be promoting a dead link after a certain amount of time. So at least in that regard, I like to promote my own website instead of the affiliate link. Bring the people to my site first and then send them off to Amazon. That way, if I ever need to make changes to my Amazon advertisement, I have complete control of that on my website. And the link that's coming to my website, that can stay where it is and how it is forever because I won't ever need to make changes to that. And then in addition to that, you have the potential for increased search rankings whenever you're linking up to your site from other websites out there. So, I would much prefer to send that ranking boost to my own site and then send the people off to Amazon than I would for that ranking boost to potentially just go to the Amazon product page. Then it kind of seems like there's no point to me building my actual website if I'm just creating for example, YouTube videos and linking straight to Amazon, which I think that's kind of the more common type of situation where people are doing things like that, is when they don't have a website, where it's just perhaps some kid maybe who, I remember doing it as a kid at least, where I didn't have a penny to spend. I didn't have a website. Everything that I did was on other people's websites. And so, all of your affiliate links and everything go straight there and no website in between it, but it makes you appear spammy, really. Or at least that's kind of how it seems to be perceived these days. Right, right, Ruben. Amazon wants you promoting stuff straight from your website. There are a lot of instances where Amazon can actually ban your account, like what Ruben is saying here. He says not only that, but if Amazon notices a lot of traffic and sales for one specific product video with no website, they can actually ban your account. And the same thing can kind of go for other areas of traffic. Maybe if they're getting traffic to an Amazon product page through your affiliate link and they can't tell where that traffic is coming from. Amazon needs to be able to track your traffic, or else ultimately you can get in trouble for it. And so again, keeping it on your site can definitely help to just, it's kind of a win-win situation for me. Like, I see advantages at every different aspect of it that I kind of consider, to keeping those Amazon links on your own site instead of somewhere like Facebook, for example. Thank you, Ruben. That was a good point. Let's see. I believe I have pretty much covered everything here. Just looking back through here just to be absolutely sure I didn't miss something for tonight. Now in the next class, we're actually going to begin building our website, but it's not going to really be the actual construction part of it. We still have to get everything set up first. So I'm going to be talking to you guys about, setting up the domain name on a website hosting account, setting up your DNS with your domain registrar so it actually points to your server when people type in your domain name into their browser. And then we'll proceed with installing WordPress and doing initial setup with that. And this helps to get us prepared to actually begin creating the website. And so, we'll be doing all that setup next week, and then the following class after that, we're actually going to learn about WordPress itself, and then we will actually get started on constructing our website here. So, any other questions that you guys may have about anything I've talked about tonight, please feel free to ask at any time. I don't mind at all. And if you come up with something later on that you'd like to talk about, please feel free to get in touch with me elsewhere. You can send me a message on Facebook, or even talk, in front of the whole group at this Amazon Facebook group of mine. I wouldn't recommend discussing anything niche specific there. I wouldn't try to share your Amazon affiliate sites because, other people can try to copy that type of thing. But, any kind of generalized question or anything, anything specific even, as long as it doesn't relate to your actual niche or the products that you're targeting or your website, it's a really great place that you can get some free commenting from me there, and even from others in the group. We'll often chime in and share their comments as well. Sure, Rhonda, the replays